explore our planet's diverse and wondrous biomes in Subastral. Thank you for joining us at Tantrum House Studio D. I'm Melissa Delp.
And I'm Kevin Delp. Subastral is a hand management tableau building game for 2 to 5 players that plays in about 30 minutes.
It's designed by Pinchback and Matt Riddle and published by Renegade Game Studios. They sent us this copy to review.
For setup, you place out the cloud cards in order and draw biome cards to place on each cloud. Each player gets a hand of 3 cards.
Your biome deck will have a different amount of cards based on your player count. There is a misprint in the first edition rules. For 4 players, you remove the cards marked with 5, not 3.
Here's a quick overview of the game. On your turn, you'll play a card from your hand and either receive cards into your hand or into your tableau in front of you. That's called your journal.
At the end of the game, you'll score the cards in your journal.
When you play a card from your hand, you must place it on the cloud matching its number.
Then you pick up cards from one other cloud. If you pick up cards from the left of where you placed your card, you put those cards into your hand.
But if you decide to pick up cards toward the right, then you put those cards in your journal tableau. The exceptions are cards 1 and 6. If you lay a 6, you may pick up the cards in cloud 1 and put them either in your journal or your hand. The same goes for laying a 1. You can pick up the cards in 6 and decide to either journal them or put them in your hand.
When you put cards in your journal tableau, you're making mixed sets, with 1 card from each biome. For your first set, you have to keep them in the order you pick them up. Matching biomes go underneath the same column and become part of new sets. If you ever start your turn with no cards in your hand, then the only thing you can do is draw 1 card and your turn is over. This usually happens when you play your last card and journal the new cards instead of putting those cards into your hand.
I try not to do this because you aren't being as efficient with your turns, but there are definitely some times it's worth doing.
The game end is triggered when you reach the end of game card in the deck. During setup, you place this card 12 cards from the bottom.
When you score your journal, you look at your longest line of different biomes. The most is 8, and that gives you 36 points. And then you see if you have any other mixed sets and score those. But you have to start at the left, and your mixed set stops when you reach the first card missing in the line. Even if you have more cards later in that mixed set, you don't count those.
You'll also score your 2 largest sets of matching cards. If 2 or more have the same amount, then you score the one farthest to the left. You'll score the number of cards times the position the cards are in. So here are 4 cards in position 5, which gives you 20 points.
After totaling the scores, whoever has the most points wins.
So the rules are pretty simple, and it's fairly easy to learn and then teach to other players.
I agree.
Basically, you play a card and then pick up cards. But there is a lot of strategy within this simplicity, and it might take a game for the scoring to fully click.
But it plays pretty fast, which I appreciate. So it's easy to play a second game. Even if a player takes a little longer on their turns, it still moves pretty quickly. They usually only have a couple of cards to work with, so that lessens the AP.
Yeah, I enjoy the decisions from turn to turn. Do I put cards in my hand or in my journal? Am I trying to go after mixed sets or trying to build out my matching sets for some major points?
There is some luck involved in the game. A few times there have been 2 or 3 cards in a specific cloud, and another card is needed to be drawn, and the new number matched exactly that cloud, which then puts a lot of cards in there. Which means the next player got a great opportunity, if they had the right card to take advantage of it.
Yeah, most of the time there are just 1 or 2 cards in a cloud, so if 3 or 4 are available, that is super helpful, whether you put them in your journal or even in your hand so you have more options.
After playing it many times now, I have started trying to remember what numbers other people are putting into their hands so that I'm taking different numbers so that I'm not playing to the same clouds as they are, and hopefully getting more cards that way.
Yes, when you get down to 1 card in your hand, you don't really have an option of where you play it. So you might not have great choices for cards to pick up, And you might load up a cloud for another player.
The theme is all about these different biomes that you're collecting, and the illustrations by Beth Sobel are breathtaking. There is even some text about the biomes on all the cards. But it really could be any theme. We actually played a prototype of this years ago with Ben and Matt, the designers, and they had an antique glassworks theme back then.
Yeah, this theme does tie in with their other game, Stellar. Stellar is about looking at space and the stars. With Subastral, you're lowering your gaze beneath the stars, which happens to be the meaning of the word, subastral.
The deck has 8 different biomes, and some are more rare than others. In a 4-player game, they go from 14 of one kind all the way down to 7 of another kind.
This creates a lot of tension in the game, which I think is good. Not only are you trying to gain those rare cards so you can complete your mixed sets, but you also have to think about the order that you want to add them to your journal. Having a lot of rare biomes at the beginning of the line makes mixed sets harder. But the later you put your common cards, the easier it is to score a lot of points for matching sets. So those two scoring conditions can potentially work against each other.
Sometimes, if I have duplicate numbers, I usually keep the rare card in my hand and lay the other one, especially if I know that another player still needs that rare card.
Yes. Having 1s and 6s in your hand can be pretty powerful. They give you lots of options for either placing cards in your journal or putting cards in your hand. There's nothing worse than seeing a cloud that has the perfect cards for your journal, but you don't have the right number to put them in your journal.
I personally like it at the higher player count, but I think it plays well at the lower one. With 2 players, you actually have a little bit more control because there's only one more person laying those cards down. It's just less likely that you're going to get 4 cards in one cloud, and I really like getting 4 cards in one cloud.
Yes, he does. I enjoy thinky, puzzly games, and this one definitely fits that category. The rule set is fairly simple, but the decisions are tough. I would definitely recommend this game if you enjoy Stellar or other thinky card games.
Check out Subastral from Renegade Game Studios, and please like and subscribe.
This creates a lot of tension in the game, which I think is good. Not only are you trying to gain those rare cards so you can complete your mixed sets, but you also have to think about the order you want to add them to your journal. Journal.
What's the starting line?
Yeah, it was going a little fast. I felt like I had to race.
The exceptions are cards in 1 and 6. If you lay a 6, you must pick up the cards in cloud 1.
You may.
Sorry, I was trying to slow it down. I will stop it.
I believe that's B-roll.